Welcome back to the Performance Mindset Show. I'm your host, Amy Calandrino, Orlando commercial real estate broker and author of the book From Perfect to Real. This show is all about leveling up in business, real estate, leadership, and life by shifting how you think, grow, and lead. Each week, I bring you real conversations with top performers and mindset experts who are building big lives on their own terms. If you're ready to ditch perfection, trust your path, and grow with intention, you're in the right place. Be sure to subscribe and let's get right into it. So today I have with me Brigitte Owens. And do you say Bridget or Brigitte?
I say Bridget, but...
Bridget. Okay, well, here we go. It's like all about ditching perfection. Bridget. So I have a friend that's from France, and so I'm used to that way. So Bridget. Brigitte Owens is a commercial real estate advisor and seasoned investor with experience across multiple asset classes. She brings a unique blend of empathy, discipline, and business savviness to every deal, qualities that were shaped as her years as an elementary school principal before entering commercial real estate in 2022. Brigitte's approach is simple. She treats every property as if it is her own, understanding both the needs of the buyers and the sellers, and building long-term relationships rooted in trust and communication. She's deeply involved with her community and industry, serving as member of the Greater Louisville Association of Realtors, where she chaired the Global Committee, Women in Commercial Real Estate, Kentucky Real Estate Exchange, CCIM Kentucky, and Biz Women Leadership Council. Mayor Greenberg recently appointed her to the Property Valuation Review Committee as a commercial representative beyond real estate. Brigitte serves on multiple boards, including AMPED Louisville, REBOUND Inc., the Jefferson County Public Education Foundation, the Black Trustee Alliance for Art Museums, and the Advisory Board for German American Bank. That's a lot.
It is, isn't it?
Well, I'm just so honored to have you on the show today.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad to be here and just to have a candid conversation about commercial real estate and wherever else it takes us, wherever else the conversation takes us as well.
Yes, I'm really excited. So you have one of the most fascinating career pivots I've ever seen. You were an elementary school principal, and now you're a commercial real estate pro. What sparked that change?
So I knew I was going to retire. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. I think everybody had an opportunity during COVID to kind of just decide what they wanted to do and, what was my next step. My husband and I, as said before, we've been investors for a while. And so it was just a natural, I think, progression to move into real estate. But to be honest with you, Amy, when I was looking at it, I was thinking more about residential. And I don't even know why I was thinking residential, because the only residential piece of property we own is the one that we live in.
Right.
I think that's just kind of naturally what women think about. And I was like, I guess I need to do real estate. I guess I need to be selling houses. I'm not getting excited about driving people around to see 10 houses and they're not liking the color, or they don't like, the neighbor. I was like, but this is what I'm going to do. And so I had actually, she was my broker who helped me do a couple of leases, and I bought some property from her. She said, Brigitte, why are you thinking about residential real estate when all of your assets are in commercial? I was like, I never put the dots together. And so that's kind of how it started. So what I realized, though, is the things that I had done previously prepared me for this position, and I didn't even realize it. When I was a principal, my last school, I actually had the opportunity to start the school up from the ground up. So I was meeting with the contractors and the architects. I was, also, creating or picking the curriculum and teachers and all of it. And I didn't realize that part was preparing me for this next chapter in my life. And then also being a investor.
That's incredible. Yeah. I think that, and I think principals, especially in being in that administration, there's just so multifaceted,
Mhm.
needing to understand like HR and needing to understand operations and needing to
Mhm.
understand everything in the school and keeping the culture of the school, and there's a management of just making sure that school performs well and the students and everyone can succeed. I mean, it's a heavy burden. It's a lot to do, and I don't want to think of it a burden, but like, you know what I mean, there's
Mhm.
a lot to it.
Mhm.
So yeah. Um, when you look back, I think you talked a little bit about building up the school, but what else do you think translated over into commercial real estate for yourself?
Just well, kind of what you were describing, being, running a school. I was over 80 something employees where I was interacting with them. I was, evaluating them. I was trained in leadership, how to lead a school. Um, all of those skills just really prepared me for this position. I tell people all the time when I was starting, of course I had a manual, my firm gave me a manual and, all of these, rules and regulations, but the most important piece are the unwritten rules,
Mhm.
and learning how to navigate and understanding people and all of those things, which,
Oh, yes.
which, came kind of natural to me because I had been doing it. So I just think I didn't realize it. Like I said, at that point in time, I just realized that all of those things were being put in place for me to be in this position that I'm in now. Even with my first real estate acquisition, this is a funny story. People had always told me and my husband, you all need to get into real estate. You need to get into real estate. And in my head, what I was thinking about was single family
Mhm.
homes. No shade to single family homes. They're great if that's your lane, but we didn't get excited about that. And
Mhm.
so I had been in my hairstylist was renting from a lady who owned this hair salon, but it was actually um, a, an office building, and she leased the top, or she used the top, and she rented the bottom. And so she had not been able to sell it, and I had been looking at it and looking at the price go down, and then something, just one day I was like, I need to buy this. So I bought it, and she was moving out because she needed a larger space. So I had a tenant downstairs, and then the only thing I needed to do was lease the top. So I did that, and then I actually bought a house for my hairstylist to live in. And I was like, well, I'm going to do both of these to kind of figure out which one I want. Do I want to do commercial? Do I want
Right.
to do? And he was great. I mean, he was a great tenant, but I realized with our schedules and how busy we are, that commercial was just better. I tell people all the time, it might sit a little longer than residential, but once you get somebody in there, you really don't have to do a whole bunch. So it just worked for our lifestyles, especially being busy. And like I said, I didn't realize that was preparing me for this role as well.
Well, yeah, I have in our family's portfolio, we have both residential and commercial
Mhm.
assets. And
Mhm.
let me tell you what, I don't get really excited about hearing that we need a new $10,000 air
Yes.
conditioner on a
Yeah.
house and I can't pass that through to the tenant.
Absolutely,
Like,
absolutely,
that is not
absolutely.
fun.
You can't do triple net. You can't triple net that, can you?
No, no. So no, I completely agree with you. It's interesting. I love how you were kind of just hands on getting into commercial yourself, and so then you bring that whole perspective that you're yourself. So, what like surprised you the most about the commercial real estate industry once you were in the inside? Because you're so involved in the industry and you really kind of just jumped in there with both feet. What has kind of surprised you the most?
So I'd have to say what surprised me the most was that there were not many women at all doing commercial real estate. There were not
Right.
many women brokers. And then if you drill down even more, there were not any women of color.
Oh yeah.
That was a shock to me because I'm used to, pulling in my village, connecting with people, so I started this journey. I was like, well, I've got to reach out. My firm is great about supporting and we're very diverse, but I wanted a woman of color to talk to, and I couldn't
Mhm.
find one. I couldn't even find a man of color to speak with as well. And so what I realized quickly was that I was the only person of color in a dedicated commercial real estate firm here. Now, there might be some that do, dibble and dabble in residential and commercial. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about ones in dedicated commercial real estate firms. So that was so important to me. And so I ended up reaching out to someone from my hometown that is a very successful broker who mentored me from afar. But that was probably, and because we're talking about, 2022, that was really hard. And I was like, I can't believe that, that I'm the first, or at least I'm the only one in this space at this point. And, that was really tough. And to have people, I'm probably like 6 or 8 months or 9 months into this, reaching out to me, seasoned brokers that are, thinking about going, moving towards commercial real estate, reaching out to me. And I'm like, at this point, I don't even know what I'm doing. So I think, we can learn together, but I don't know. But to be a role model so quickly. And I'm like, wow, that was just amazing.
Well, what I find is I have in my book, The Sports Success System, but the first one is S. It's all about synergy. And you gotta find those people like in your corner. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be necessarily someone in your office, but someone that like gets you and relates to you, like me as someone who has young children. Mm-hmm. It's really helpful to get like the perspective of maybe one of my friends that has older children that, maybe they're a few years ahead, and like, how did she navigate that? How did she balance that? And so for you as a person of color, and then also a woman, like it's vitally important, in my opinion, mm-hmm. to, talk to someone who's been there, done that, and they can give you that advice. What's different about me, at least in my market, is I don't think enough people of color own commercial real estate. I agree. It's terrible. And I cannot tell you how many Black-owned businesses I have helped buy their first piece of commercial real estate. And I treat it as a point of privilege to be able to do. And what like makes me the most excited is when they build equity and they can go on and buy more. And then I've been able to connect my clients together too, and like just all different perspectives. But I can't tell you how many people, so I don't know. I love commercial real estate. There's a lot of really great people in commercial real estate. But then I think sometimes people, we got a lot of white men in commercial real estate. And I think sometimes people, they relate to other people and they may dismiss other people that don't look like them.
I agree.
And like, I'm all about like, what is it that you want to achieve? And let's get there. Let's go.
I agree. And to be honest with you, of course I love helping everybody, but my clients of color, I really appreciate helping, just opening doors that they had never seen before. And that's kind of how with me, I have just been blessed to be able to be in rooms to see things that I've never seen before. And it's just amazing. It's amazing all of the deals that happen before they're even listed, how deals, happen at lunch or happen
on
the golf course, or, just through those relationships. And so all of that has just been eye-opening, and I try my best to, mentor people and to help people to understand that. And I also say that you can get into commercial real estate. You don't have to have. I think the reason that a lot of people, and I'll just say people of color too, don't get into it because they think you have to have millions of dollars, and you don't. My husband and I started off very modestly, with buying property. We got into doing office condos, which I always say is the gateway to commercial real estate, because you're not putting in a lot of money. And now after COVID, small office spaces are still very popular. Very, very popular. So I always tell my clients, just get an office condo, less than 200,000. We'll get a tenant in there. You'll see, you'll like it because, you put them in there, and unless it's an HVAC problem or a hot water tank problem, you're probably not going to hear anything from them. And start that way. And actually, my husband and I still have office condos in our portfolio. we probably should sell them and scale to something else, but they're so easy. And they're so easy,
Oh
especially
yeah.
if you get somebody in with a 5-year lease. And now we're, doing them where they kind of mirror triple net, where they pay the HOA. So you're like, okay, you're paying my HOA. All I have to do is pay my taxes. This is easy. This is simple. You talk about diversifying. You don't want everything that sucks the energy out of you. All properties don't need
Oh
to
yeah.
suck the energy out of you.
Right. Well, it just gets started. And I think of one of my clients that I helped out. Her name's Tessa Boyd. She's actually been on my podcast. I love her. She was one of the first people to have a hybrid it's a beauty school. It's called Elise Aesthetics. And we put her in a building where she actually has her own space, but then she leased out to like a State Farm office and this, and she loves it because it's not like a huge thing. And then we were able to then take another client of ours, and then she talked to Tessa, and then Tessa told her like, it's okay. And it's amazing. Like just thinking back to when we first started this conversation today though, too, there needs to be more people leaving the bridge down for other people and helping them get across. And the more people we get across into being successful, building wealth, building a commercial real estate career, and building this, and I think the better it is for everyone, because the more successful you and I are and our clients are, that money is going to trickle down into our communities.
I agree.
And have a profound impact.
I agree.
Yeah. So to me, I always think commercial real estate's bigger. It's not just the deals. It's, it creates, it transforms communities. So
absolutely. And when you talk about building wealth, wealth building, it's just another way of building wealth. Most people just think of wealth building by purchasing a home, which is good. That's a great place to start.
Yeah.
But then you need to start moving in other directions. My daughter recently got married, and they're looking for a home. And, I was encouraging them to find a triplex, or find, do the house hack thing, just things that I did not know when I was in my 20s, what I could do. I mean, and that's what my husband and I always talk about. If we had started even in our 30s, buying up these properties, we would be much more ahead than we are. So, my thing is to educate as many people as I can, tell them, hopefully educating them early so they can get in before, so they can build that equity.
I mean, my husband likes to point out all the buildings we didn't buy.
I understand.
But
I got you.
Even though I had just gotten into commercial real estate, I think until you're in that environment, you see, what can happen. And then I have a friend of mine that always likes to say too, you need to visualize what's the worst thing that's going to happen. Right. Let's just say this deal doesn't work out and it goes to hell in a handbasket, right? It's not good. What's the worst thing? Probably, I think he likes to say he'd be living in his parents' basement. And really, would that be that bad? Like, he'd get a home cooked meal every day.
Well, and the thing about it is,
but it's not really even like that. I mean, that's the worst case scenario. And so I think the killer of being able to build this wealth is just the inaction and not doing it.
Well, I was speaking with someone else, a commercial real estate broker, and she was just saying that you would be surprised the amount of women that are in commercial real estate and they're still not investing. They're still not. And you know why? Because they overthink it. We know too much. And somebody was asked, well, how did you buy what strategy or analysis did you use to buy this property? I said, this is so primitive. What I did is I was like, okay, the man downstairs is paying $1,200. My note is $1,200. Okay. So that means that if I don't even have anybody upstairs, I got my note paid. Now I might have to pay the taxes and all that, and I got that.
Right.
And that's all. I mean, I told him, I said, I didn't know what I didn't know. So it was probably good, that I didn't know, because then I just, jumped right in, and, it worked. So sometimes, even with some of my clients that I've had to divorce, it's because they overanalyze everything. I can't ever get into a deal.
No,
I mean,
no,
I've
they
got
talk themselves out
some.
of this deal and this deal and
Oh
this
my
deal.
God.
I had one person I stuck with
You say
for
what now?
6 years, and I did get him a building,
You said,
but
okay. Well, some of them I've had to divorce. And
yeah,
the
I mean, I
reason,
know, but you
oh,
get to the point where it's like
come on, dude.
nothing is not there's nothing perfect.
Nothing perfect.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think too that, you just used your women's intuition. It's like, how is this not going to work?
You know.
Like this makes a lot of sense. The price has lowered to a great amount. Have you connected with Beth Azor yet?
No? Who's that?
Beth Azor? Oh, she has an annual women's real estate summit all about investing. Do you
Oh,
know there's only 3% of women that are like invested in commercial real estate, like on their own?
3%?
3%.
I'm not surprised. There's only 1.5% women of color in commercial real estate. So that's probably right.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
probably
didn't know
right.
that statistic.
Yeah.
We got to change that.
Yeah, we do. We
Yeah.
do. And what's her name again? I'm gonna write that down.
Beth Azor, Bethazor. You should definitely meet her. Her summit will be coming up in March 2026. She does it every March, usually in South Florida. The energy is, it really even changed me. Like I had properties that I was underutilizing me, and it's pushed me to do bigger things with my properties, like
Mhm.
renovate them and kind of
Mhm.
bring them up and just kind of, it's been great being
Mhm.
around the woman, and then also looking to acquire now more and all that. It's awesome. But I mean, most women, they own it with their spouse, but for them to make the decision, and they usually do have to guarantee anyways, but it's
Mhm.
usually not the woman on their own, inclination, like pushing and driving and
Mhm.
investing in these commercial real estate deals. So yeah, it's amazing.
And I have to give a shout out to my husband. He pretty much kind of allowed me to kind of start this thing and kind
Mhm.
of drive it, and then I would always bring him up to speed. So I would kind of find the property and do the analysis, and then I would bring it to him, and he'd be like, "Okay, if if you say it's good, okay." So there's a team effort, but there's a trust there too. So that was preparing me, which I did not know, for this position that I have now.
And it's amazing too when you have that partnership with your spouse, that you can just say, just trust me, it's going
Mhm.
to take a while. One of our buildings took a while to lease, but I was like, it's better for us to wait for like the right person,
Oh my goodness.
and then to fill that vacancy with not the right person, and just hold out for the right opportunities, because commercial real estate is much more of like a compounding long-term
Mhm.
gain
Mhm.
than moving like swiftly like residential. It's very opposite. So yeah.
Well, you were smart. You look like you learned. We learned the lesson the hard way. Sometimes you get so anxious to get somebody in there, and you pick the wrong person, and then especially if you have an office building with other tenants, you have to think about that.
Yeah.
And what I have realized is that it's better for it just to sit for the right person, and seasoned investors know that, because some of my clients are like, "Nope, Bridget." I said, "This is a great nope. I don't want nope, nope," because they understand that the long term gain. What is the long term gain?
Well, it's interesting though too, because one of my other questions I was going to ask you today is, like, you very much put yourself in your client's shoes too, and that helps to provide advice. I know too, like a lot of times I'll have someone that maybe that's financially maybe a good fit, but is not going to be like a great tenant. They're going to
Mhm.
like bring bad energy to the
Mhm.
space. They're going to be like a maintenance headache,
Mhm.
and they're just like, I can tell in my interactions
Mhm.
working with them, like I'll be like, hey, I got this application, but like I don't think. And
Mhm.
then sure enough, even if we move forward,
Mhm.
something's going to come up in lease negotiations that's going to be like, nope.
Mhm.
People, it takes a while, but they'll show their true colors. But like, talk about a little bit like your mindset of your mindset working with clients, and in treating, being able to put yourself in your client's shoes and having that empathy.
So, I think that's what has helped me to scale as quickly as I've scaled, is being able to empathize with my clients, knowing what they want, because I've been on the other side. It's interesting, like I said, I've only been doing it 3.5 years, but I have seasoned investors, and they had, brokers, obviously previously. But when you're on the other side, you understand, if your space is not leased, you want your broker to be working as much as they can to get it leased, So, I'm always communicating with my clients, we have a showing, I'll follow up with you. I just put out something on social media. I'm putting something, we have a business journal, and I run ads all the time. So they just always want to see that you're working the deal. And I think when you understand, because I've been there, that I'm paying a note on something that I don't have any, I don't have a tenant in, there's more of a sense of urgency. So
Yes.
I put myself in my client's shoes. I'm like, even if I can't get a tenant in there, they know I'm working my ass off, and they'll, and they'll renew the listing, even if I haven't secured a tenant for them, because they like, Bridget, I know you're working as hard as you can, and I know it's going to happen.
Well, it's interesting. I do think that instantaneous communication is something that will set you apart from other people. And again, I'm all about ditching perfection. It does not have to be beautiful. It could just be like, I just locked up your door because like I just did another showing. I'm going to keep you updated on if I can get an application. Oh, I just toured this person that's not going to be a good fit. Just drop those quick lines. And then, you could do your fancy owner report monthly if you want to put that all together and memorialize it, because I've had clients in the past who were like, they forget all the little text I gave them. So I got to put it into that. But, I was told a long time ago by a former Supreme Court justice, like the chief Supreme Court justice for Florida, who actually presided over the Terry Schiavo case. But when I was in law, I interviewed him, and he always told me that you may have dozens of cases. This was back when I was in law, but to your client, this is probably their only case.
Absolutely.
And it matters. And so when that business owner or that investor lays their head down on their pillow at night, they're thinking like, what's going on? What's going on? And you don't want them to be thinking of what's going on. You want to diminish that and know that you got it.
And, that's so important. It doesn't matter if it's a $5 million building or if it's a $150,000 building. That building is important to that owner, and you treat them, you use the same energy that you would use with a larger deal that you use with a smaller deal. And I tell people all the time is that, if you do a good job, they'll tell 5 people. If you do a bad job, they'll tell 15. And you never know. I don't know about in Florida, but here in Louisville, everybody's connected. I mean, they're just, you never know. Even if the person is not buying anything from you, doesn't even have any, will never buy anything from you. You don't know who that person knows. And, everybody talks, and you just want to make sure that they're speaking good things. And even with people who have kind of clients that have kind of come in and come out, all I know is faded in and faded out. I said, well, I'm giving them what they've asked for. If they've asked for comps, I give it to them. If they've asked for this, I give it to them. Now it's up to them to kind of follow up, or I just see what their energy is, but they can't say that I didn't give them what they needed.
Yeah. Well, I think that, again, not necessarily sizing up. You don't know who the other people know, and just treating people with dignity and respect. No, we call it, I live in Orlando. We call it small Lando. I cannot it's so small. I went to the gym this morning, and I ran into 2 people I knew, right on the staircase. Actually, ran into someone I took my real estate licensing class in 2007 with on the staircase. I'm like, hey, he's like, I still haven't done anything with it. I'm like, one day. So he just got it. So, but anyways,
you talk about licensing. It's so funny. I retired on a Friday. And I took the test on a Monday. I was like a crazy girl the whole weekend. I was like, I'm going to start. I'm ready to start. And that's how it happened. I was like, I'm not going to spend all this money. I've spent too much money with all these classes. I'm going to get this done.
Wow. You were just Like we're going.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Now, real estate can be unpredictable. How do you stay confident and grounded when things get tough?
So for me, I think a lot of it has to do with diversifying. I do, I sell, but I lease. I do a lot of leasing too. So that kind of helps as well.
Mhm.
I also just make sure when things are slow. Sometimes and it doesn't happen much, but that you get those weeks that it's just kind of dead. And I'm like, it used to make me nervous. Okay. I was like, oh my God, why? And then I think of it as a blessing. I was like, you
Yeah.
know what? Now I can do these long-term goals, that I have not had an opportunity to do because I'm so busy with the day to day. So I treat those downtimes as a blessing. Maybe I can reach out to some people that I had not had an
Yeah.
opportunity to reach out to. Maybe I can, have coffee with them. Maybe I can do some more advertising or just wrap up some things that I had not been able to do. So I keep myself busy. I try to prioritize things. I know I have some, day-to-day things that I have to do. Every night before I go to bed, I write a list. And I know a lot of young people, we've got some young people in our firm. I don't know if they have a list or not. I think that's why they miss
So
it.
you have to.
You have to. I mean, it's no way with, and this, as busy as things are, as busy as things are, it's no way you can remember everything because
No.
it's like, I got to follow up with this person. I got to send a listing agreement with this person. I got to put this in this file. I've got to, arrange, showings for here. How are you going to remember all of that? So, and I think that's what sets us apart because, one lady told me, she said, Bridget, you're on top of everything. She's, that was a compliment, but
Yeah.
you got to be. And that's how you get clients because that's what they're looking for. Now, I don't know where we were with that question. I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Oh, we were talking all about staying confident and grounded when things get tough. And so that I think, it's what people do when they have that time. What's interesting is I probably should put a sample online. I actually make a piece of paper each week. It's my week of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have 4 quadrants. And you always think of Covey's quadrants. But for me, I divide it into who are my searches? Who do I need to update my research for? My other quadrant is who are all my BOVs that I owe? Who are all my follow-ups and my LOIs? Like I have a whole bunch of LOIs out or things under contract. What are those, right? And then my last one is my admin and my marketing. And I write down on the list, like what I have to do. Like for instance, I have a foundation. And so I had written down here that I needed to do my 990 EZ, which I kept putting off. Oh my God, that took me like 17 seconds to do. It was just like a poke because it's less than 50,000. You just go, done. Like, but you got to put it on the list and then I try to do similar things all at the same time is one of my hacks.
Yes.
And so I have searches and I have searches for 5 clients. I'm doing searches for all 5 clients all at the same time.
That's right.
So you're the same way?
Yeah. And I call it clustering.
Yep.
But it's the same thing. It keeps me, focused. It also, I don't know about you, but I love being able to cross out something on my list. I love it.
Did that while we were sitting there. I'm like, oh, I didn't.
I
cross
love
that
it.
off.
I take pleasure in crossing it out. And some things, I'm being a little vulnerable here, but some things go on my list 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. And I don't know why, because it could be something like you were talking about that takes like 15 seconds. What we call in education, some things are non-preferred activities.
Yes.
And we just struggle. We all, even children, adults, struggle with non-preferred activities. And so, but keeping those lists and that satisfaction of crossing them out, and that's what I think separates the women from the girls and the men from the boys. Because if you're always having to follow up with your broker, have you done this? Have you done? When am I going to get this? Have you done? They're going to go somewhere else. They have short. I say clients have short memories. They do. They have short memories. And they're looking for somebody that's hungry and that's going to follow through and get it to the finish line.
Yeah, I'd never thought to call it clustering. I think they also call it when you're like attacking these things that Henry Ford batch processing, and it will change your life. And then once you get into it, it's kind of like a ball going down a hill.
Mm-hmm.
You get that momentum, and then you just
Mm-hmm.
knocked all that out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you are like highly productive and the
Mm-hmm.
clients know they can count on you, you're going to outperform. I don't know if you get this in your market. Do you have people who celebrate you answering the phone on your
Oh
listing?
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You mean you answered the phone? Yeah. Or this one right here. I have a different mindset. It's commercial real estate is supposed to be Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Now, so that's what So for me, and of course, like I've always on the other side, I always needed after 5 appointments or Saturday and Sundays. You know why? Because I had a job, so I could pay to buy these properties. Does that make sense?
Right.
So
Yes.
when you call somebody and they say, "Well, oh, this is we don't do. I don't do Saturday." Well, you want this deal, don't you? So it's a different mindset. So I came in it. If a client needs to meet on a Saturday, I'll meet them on a Saturday. If a
Oh
client
yeah,
needs to meet,
absolutely.
but that's not the norm. I don't know about you all there. That's not the norm, especially with
But then I also give myself grace during the week. I am in a
Mhm.
golf league every
Mhm.
Thursday,
Mhm.
and my phone's off
Mhm.
during that period of
Mhm.
time. Like may work super late on
Yeah.
Wednesday or like at 5 o'clock in the morning on Thursday to make sure everything's kind of like set.
Mhm.
But I take that time during the week, and so I follow my energy, what works
Mhm.
well for me to feed my soul.
Mhm.
But absolutely, I'll give you an example. Orlando Pharmacy, the pharmacist can't leave the premises of a pharmacy when they're open. There always has to be a pharmacist on duty.
Mhm.
And if he's not there, I mean, he can bring someone else in. But he wanted to have a consultation with me, so we had a wonderful lunch on like a Saturday, and then
Mhm.
he had certain days like we were able to get him a 6:30 p.m. showing
Mhm.
on the property that he ended up buying,
Mhm.
and we just were able to make that work. And we've closed the deal. He's building it out, and it's going
Mhm.
to open next year, and it's
Mhm.
incredible. And then he was just like, "Thank you," and I'm like, the thing is there's 168 hours in a week,
Mhm.
and I still spend tons of time with my children, like,
Mhm.
but they also know mommy is like serving this greater purpose of
Mhm.
like helping these folks achieve. So I need to walk away for a couple hours on a Saturday.
Mhm.
My kids are gonna be perfectly fine. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So I agree with that and being adaptable. Now, if something's not like urgent or
Oh, absolutely.
pressing, then obviously, and they have availability to talk to you Monday, then absolutely do that. But no, I feel like that's differentiated things for me too.
And I've gotten great clients because of that, because I'm accommodating, and that has definitely worked well for me. And like you say, and I answer the phone and I follow up. I mean, I'm gonna tell you this quick story. I had a
Oh yeah,
client
absolutely.
who wanted this property. I guess he had been trying to just call the agent himself. I think it was one of those discount real estate companies, where I think they might list it. I don't know, but it
Yeah,
wasn't full service. All I know is that.
right.
So we were trying to, he really wanted the property. I was ready to put an offer in on it, but I couldn't get in touch with the agent. Now, I'm gonna tell you how determined I was. I looked the owner up on Facebook to see if we had any mutual friends, which we did. Actually, it was a parent of mine who actually is a very successful residential agent now, but she wasn't when her kids were in my school. I messengered her on online, and asked her if she knew this guy because they had mutual friends. She gave me the owner's number. I contacted the owner because we couldn't get in touch with the agent, and asked him to please have his agent to reach out to me so we can get this deal done. Do you know he ended up after that being my client now?
I love that. That's what I call the agents the clients of the agents that don't answer their phone, I call them my eventual
Yes,
clients. So,
absolutely.
but I mean, if you've done your due diligence and you've emailed and you've emailed and you text and you text and
Absolutely.
you called and they
Absolutely.
haven't called you back, you are fully
Yes.
committed to reach out to ownership. And then in fact, you didn't just say, contact me. You said, have your agent contact me.
Absolutely.
So you were recognizing the relationship. You did everything on the up and up. But
Absolutely.
that's awesome. I feel like we could do like 2 episodes with you. This has been so much fun.
Aw.
I want to do a little bit of like rapid fire, some
Okay.
personal things, kind of get to know you.
Mhm.
And then what's your favorite way to start your morning?
So I start my morning with a devotion. I have a couple of books that I like to read. I told I have 2 BFFs, and I was fussing about something about this week about not being recognized or and being invisible or whatever. And she gave me this wonderful a couple of Bible verses and just encouragement. So I've been reading that as well. But I like to do that. I like to work out. Now, a great day is if I can work out and be sitting down at my desk by 7. The funniest thing is when I do that, or 6:30, when I do that, by 8:30, I'm like complaining that nobody has answered my emails. And I'm like, it's because it's 8:30.
You and I are on
You've
the
been up.
same wave. Like, I got to get to know you because, like, I actually just got an au pair and I'm going to do that so I can literally
Yes.
be at my desk first thing in the morning because that's when my energy is the
Yes.
best. I was at my desk before 7 this morning myself.
Absolutely.
So,
It changes your whole day. If you can like I said, if I can be sitting down by 6:30, 7:00,
yeah.
working. I mean, because you get ahead of all those calls, because around 9:30, that phone starts to ring. But if you can get, check emails, do all those kinds of things that you can't do, that kind of get in the way, I think that's the best thing.
That's awesome. Who are a few women in real estate who inspire you the most right now?
So I would say that probably the person who brought me in is the one that probably was, especially starting off, a role model for me. She's one of the hardest working ladies that I know in real estate. I mean, she's a badass too. And funny, and let me just tell you let me just quickly how I even met her. She's, so Jenny Johnston is executive vice president of our group, and she's the one that brought me on. Tell you how we met each other. I had a property that I wanted to list it for lease. I had contacted a guy who had sold me a property, commercial real estate agent. I arranged a time for us to meet and do a walkthrough of the property. It happened to be on Valentine's Day, and I specifically asked him, I said, now, this is Valentine's Day. Oh yeah, this is fine because this is earlier during the day and, I'm not doing anything with my family until later. Okay. So my husband and I get over there. He's not there. I was like, okay, where, and I had teenagers, so I have receipts for everything on my, text messages. And so I'm like, okay, let me go back because I can make mistakes. And so I called him. I said, hey, I'm here. Are you coming? And so then he commences to kind of like argue with me. Like, well, like I had said, I wouldn't be able, like you said, wait a minute, that you wouldn't be able to come. I wouldn't be. And I was like, well, wait a minute. First of all, you're coming to me the wrong way. And then secondly, let me check my text messages. And so that conversation never came up. It never, that never happened. So we were on there was another guy that was one of his colleagues was on there as well. And so then he said, well, I'm going to send, ex Joe over now. So Joe comes over. This is Sunday now, Valentine's Day. Joe comes over, disheveled. He must have like rolled out of bed. His shirt was not even button right. I mean, it was something like out of a comedy.
And what time of Sunday is this?
This is Sunday, probably. Well, we were going to go to brunch, and it was after church, so probably around 1-ish. 1 something.
Homeboy wasn't even dressed yet.
And but he just got up because I guess this guy told him you need to get over there. And he got up. His shirt wasn't. I mean, it was like this, and I was looking. So he was talking, and I couldn't pay any attention to anything but his shirt and how disheveled he looked.
Oh
And
yeah,
so
that stuff bothers me
and
too. Yeah.
I was livid because first of all, you're going to argue with me about,
Oh,
and
I
I'm the
hate that
client,
too.
about when you
Mhm.
told me, and then you're going to send somebody, then you don't show up, and then you're going to send somebody over who just rolled out of bed. And so while he was there, I wasn't listening to anything else that I was, you know how we shut down? I had
Yeah.
shut down. And so I started on my phone looking for this lady. Who is this lady that I see everywhere? Who is this lady? And I found her and I texted her. I said, hey, we've got this space, we're here now, but we can reschedule. She said, I'll be there. Give me an hour and a half and I'll be there. This is a Sunday. I said, now this is the person that I need who who drops everything that they are doing for me, didn't give me the runaround. And that was the start. Didn't know that was the start of me being where I am now because she was my agent and she is a go-getter. She's a worker. She gets the deals done. And she's the one that brought me on. Who would have thought that? But we women, we get it done. And so anyway.
That is crazy. I've had instances with people on my team because I've been a broker for some time, and then I've had the same issues with other brokers, and they want to. That is so unproductive to argue.
Oh,
Just say I messed up
yeah.
and move on.
So
The
now
energy
he
that
has
you're
since
spending.
apologized. Okay, let me
Yeah.
just tell you this. He has since apologized because honestly, I was voicing my opinion to a lot of people about what happened because I could not believe. I was like, wait a minute, I reached out to you. You told me. Now you're arguing with me about, and you're the one that's not here. And let me just tell you this. They never even followed up with me. So that let me know that they weren't even interested in my business. So, that helped me. I was like, well, this is a great, and that's just what I tell people all the time. Good leadership or even bad, you can learn from bad leadership, a bad
Yes, you
experience.
can.
And I learned from that experience that, this is not how I want to be. And it's going to make me a better broker.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. If someone gave you $1 million and you can't invest in real estate, what would you do with it?
Oh, this is okay. So, I would invest in art. That's kind of what we're doing now. My husband and I are doing anyway. I would invest in art. We have, we're, at this point in our life, our kids are grown and we're thinking about legacy. What can we leave our legacy, our kids? And one of the things is investing in art, learning about art. And art is actually a great way to diversify your assets. Didn't realize that. So that's what I would do. And I could spin that up easily. Let me just tell you that.
I love that. And it's full circle. We're recording this episode on October 8th. I know it's going to drop probably like a month or so out, but we have the Winter Park Autumn Art Festival coming up this weekend, and I'm a patron of that. So I'm going to get to go to like the dinner, the artist awards, and get to see all this art. I love art. Gosh, I mean, actually, one of my deals that I did myself, my first building I bought, I built rapport with the person that managed the overall organization that bought the building because he saw art on my wall.
Oh, wow.
It's like a conversation starter. I think art is so powerful. That is like the best answer I've gotten to that question.
Art is, and we're novice, and so we have, I started with a book. They talked about art advisor. Actually, we got an art advisor who we've been working with who helps us. Yeah. And so, but what I know is, and you've already experienced this art world is a whole different world. And it's not even about just having the money to buy. You got to have access. They don't just give, just because, Brigitte Owens has $5 for this painting, Bridget might not be getting it because who does Bridget know? What are you going to do? I mean, it's a whole different world. So we are learning. I love the community. And like you said, somebody reached out to you or connected with you because of the art. I mean, it is so, yeah. So we're all in and I'm enjoying it.
Awesome. Was there anything that we didn't talk about today that you want to chat about or share with our audience?
I guess the only, when I first started doing podcasts, it was really about being able to share my story, how I was able to pivot, in my mid 50s into a totally different career. Pivot into commercial real estate. But
Yeah.
now, as I continue to talk, I think it's more about just being able to pivot with any kind of career you have, that you have transferable skills. And that's kind of what I want to leave, anybody that's listening, that you can transition. If you were successful in one career, that's not an isolated incident. That's because you are a successful person. That's because you can take those skills and you can move them somewhere else. And so that's kind of, what I have done and what I try to encourage women or even everybody into doing. Just don't think that you're just in a block. I think women, and I'll tell you a very short story. I think women do this more than, women limit themselves more than men. And so what I will say is, like, if we're looking at a job in the job description, we've got to have 95% of those skills. And if not, we're not going to apply. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
Men
Absolutely.
will have one. If they meet one, one of the criteria, they're going to apply. A short story, and this is my son is 24. He started with a job. He worked for DaVita. He was looking for another job, and he kept applying for jobs. And he said he applied for like 7,000 jobs. And I said, Sean Jr., I said, but he was applying for jobs, in my opinion, that I think he didn't qualify for. And he said, Mom, I just need one person to take a chance on me. I just need one. And he had this, this formula that he was doing. He said, all I need is just one person to take this chance. So he was doing all this. We were like, he is just crazy. He's nuts. He just needs to get a job or go back to school, blah, blah, blah. And he ended up getting a job. He actually is a senior manager of real estate for Walmart. Now, so let me put that in perspective. He's 24 years old. The other people who are in, because Walmart does a great job of promoting within. So he's working with, or he's on the same level as the other regional managers are, like 40s, in their 40s and their late 30s, mm-hmm. because they maybe work themselves up through the chain or through, but he did it. And so, and my daughter and I told him, I said, I have never been so happy to be wrong. You did this. And he said, and my daughter said, Mom, he bet on himself. And that's what we got to do. We've got to bet on ourselves, because if you bet on yourselves, you'll always win.
Yeah. Oh, that's so powerful. Well, this has been incredible. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling we are going to be staying in contact with each other. This is awesome. Absolutely. Well, what is the best way to contact you? Do you like LinkedIn, email? What's your preferred method for my listeners to reach out to you?
Email or LinkedIn, either or. I check both of them.
Okay, awesome. Mm-hmm. We'll include your email in our show notes and mm-hmm. all of that, so people can reach out to you. So thank you to everyone for listening to another episode of the Performance Mindset Show. If today's episode gave you something to think about, share it and subscribe so you don't miss out on what's next. Want to go deeper? Grab my book, From Perfect to Real. It's all about dropping perfection and thriving your own way. You can also connect with me at amycalandrino.com. Until next time, stay grounded, stay growing, and keep showing up for you. This is Amy Calandrino, signing off.